Welcome to the Construction Pals podcast, brought to you by BlueTape, your source for the latest in the construction world. Hard hats off, headphones on, and let's get started.
And I'm your host, Rick Butler from BlueTape. In today's episode, we're talking with Lexie Lucas, who started her career in the solar industry in 2014. Passionate about renewable energy, she strives to make an impact that will leave the industry better than she found it. Throughout her career, Lexie has established two solar companies, supported the launch of two leading solar panel manufacturers, and co-founded the world's first woman-owned solar panel company. And she still has so much more work to do within the industry. As the founder and CEO of Sunlink Power, Lexie, one of BlueTape's great partners, is focused on connecting each segment in the solar value chain to offer a better ROI and service to end users. Welcome, Lexie.
Hi, Rick. Thanks so much for having me today.
You got it. How was that introduction? I didn't sound too robotic, did I?
That was beautifully done.
Well, you've got a wonderful resume, and we've been, I know Elizabeth and I have been excited about getting you on, and just looking forward to having you share with our audience and your audience what you do. And so again, welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I always just kind of start out with, where are you in the world? Town, cats, dogs.
Yep. I am based out of San Antonio, Texas. This is my hometown. I've been here many years now. I don't want to say how many because it just sounds like a big number. And it's home. I have two precious children, my son, Liam, and he's 10 years old, and he's a firecracker. He's my mini-me. And then my sweet baby girl, Sophia, she's 5, and she just, rules my world. We have a dog, a little Yorkie. That was actually my first child. I got him when he was just 6 weeks old, and now he's 13 years old. So Ruffy is all of our baby now. We all treat him like the baby of the house. So
yeah, that's what they become. Seriously, there's nothing like them. Well, thank you. In terms of what you do and how you're doing it and how you're just being excellent in this industry, how do you think the role of solar has evolved in the construction industry over the past few years that you've seen?
Oh, yeah, it's really, I think, picked up and taken off over the years. I mean, when I started solar in 2014, the adoption rate with homeowners and business owners, residential or the commercial space was pretty low. And, in the last 10 years, I think anyone driving through a neighborhood, you'll start to see, 5 out of 10 houses probably have solar on them. It's become more affordable. The equipment's becoming more efficient. The technology's changing rapidly. And then, finance and loan options are getting more competitive. I think when I first started in solar, there weren't really loan options available for homeowners. And not a lot of people have, $20,000, $30,000 just laying around to put solar on their roof. And so, just seeing that segment of our industry really blossom has been incredibly helpful to improve the adoption rate of consumers switching to solar.
What kind of led you into solar specifically?
I wish it was a more glamorous, thoughtful story. But the truth is, I was very young. I was 24 years old, and I just needed a job. I was looking for a job, and I remember one Saturday, I just sat in a coffee shop, and I dedicated 4 hours to just blasting my resume out to anything and everything. I was determined to, find the right fit for me. And I got a call back, later on that week, Tuesday or Wednesday. So pretty quick. And one of the calls was from the recruiter at Mission Solar Energy, a panel maker. They had just opened up their factory. They were manufacturing solar panels in San Antonio. And they were doing like a mass hiring because they had a huge facility and just kicking off their production. And the recruiter, was like, hey, this is a receptionist position. And I remember thinking like, well, that's not really what I'm looking for. That's not really what I want to do. But then in the back of my mind, I just thought, I can't be picky because like I just need a job. And so I just went. I just showed up. I knew that that wasn't really what I wanted to do, but ultimately I just needed a job, right? So I went to the interview, and as I'm driving up to the facility, it was immaculate. It was this huge, I want to say it's like, if I remember the specs, it was like 375,000 square foot facility. And, everything was just shiny and new. They had, a bustling energy in the building. And I just thought, I'm going to get this job. Like, I'm going to just do my best. I am going to just make sure that I get this job because I could see a future for myself. I knew that there was potential there. And so I did. I was hired, and I just remember working really hard to be the best version of myself for that company. If the plants needed to be watered, I watered the plants in the lobby. That was not my job, but it was like any little thing that needed to happen, I was on it because I wanted to do well. And, over the course of a year or so, or maybe even less, I just kind of, my role changed, and then I was promoted and I was supporting the CEO. And then, in that role of working with the CEO as his assistant, I just got so much exposure and a lot of mentorship from him. And he's, still a good friend and mentor to me today. And I think the rest is kind of just history. It just, my whole, when I accepted that job, the whole trajectory of my life changed.
Wow. What a great story. I love that because in fact, we just had a meeting earlier with part of our sales team, and I said, initiative, take initiative and volunteer for roles that are outside the scope of what you're doing, just so you can learn more and be more involved and be more indispensable. I love that. So you came in at the ground floor as a young professional, and obviously, you've moved up, and we'll get more into your story and where you are now. And you're at the top. You're moving to the top where you're controlling those. You're hiring people now. But as the construction, in the last 10 years, from 2014 to now, the construction industry has changed. What, in terms of a whole, holistically, how have you seen this affect young professionals getting into the construction industry?
Yeah, I think my industry, one thing that I love about it, solar, which couples really beautifully with construction, right? It is construction. There's a lot of young, successful entrepreneurs and leaders in solar. And that's one thing that really drew me to love this industry, was just how dynamic it was. Because solar is, was somewhat new when I started off. It was like nothing's off the table, right? We're bringing something to a marketplace that, we have to get creative. We have to find solutions. We have to push. We have to find people that are driven, people that are, willing to be uncomfortable, because as much as I love my industry, it's not an easy one to work in, and it's not an easy one to be successful in. Lots of challenges, lots of adversity, lots of hurdles to jump over. And so I've never felt that, being young has, been a barrier for me. And that could just be my perspective. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I've never felt, that has been something that I've had to, count as a challenge or as a struggle. I've felt nothing but opportunity before me. And I think, as business leaders, within an industry, within a company, ethnicity, gender, age, that can't be what we're looking at. It has to be who's qualified, who's capable, and who's going to be able to execute company goals, right? And so that's definitely been my perspective and my viewpoint. I love to see young professionals killing it and crushing it, but that shouldn't, age and all the other, elements shouldn't be how we make decisions in a company. It should be capabilities, are you a good fit? Do you have a track record? And then you go from there. What makes sense for the company?
That's I can't add anything to that. I love that because there obviously it was instilled in you to not let anything hold you back. Age is just a number.
My industry is doing such a good job at not focusing on age. There's so many young professionals that are just killing it and doing great. I think a lot of automation is starting to come in. We're going to see more tech evolution taking over a lot of the space in construction. And so I think that's really, I don't want to say going to be led by, some of the younger professionals, but a real hard push is coming. Lots of amazing tech companies are starting to sprout up. And the founders are young.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go specifically to Sunlink Power and just segue right where you just left off with technology and digital tools. So now that you're sitting in the seat of leadership, you're having to make the decisions, the buck stops with you, and you're trying to scale, with all the examples you just gave. But at Sunlink Power, the technologies, maybe digital tools that you'd share with us.
Absolutely. One thing I will say about implementing technology and more software and tools, if it's scary, it's tough because these tools are costly and it's going to cost you something up front. And you're hoping that you're going to get the outcome that you really want. So I mean, taking your time to make sure the solutions you're reaching for are what you need right now in this phase of your company, and that they're going to give you the result that you need. I love to be forward looking, but it's all relative. Sometimes you can look too far ahead and trip, right? And so I think timing of when you integrate these tools and resources is super important. And then really vetting and shopping the market. Are they going to tailor this software, this tool to really meet your process? Do you even have a process down, right? Let's just start there. Is that a service that they can help you build out your processes? Will it talk? Will your tools talk across to one another? And so, for me, launching Sunlink, the first tool was like a CRM. Let me get a CRM, right? So start there, get that organized, get that going, get comfortable with it, learn it. ERP is pretty important when you're selling equipment and you're delivering stuff and you're trying to collect payments, right? So making sure that my CRM can talk to my ERP is important. And then you just refine and you build from there. But, for me, my perspective on how to execute has changed over the years. I used to want to have a big, robust, detailed plan and know exactly what's next and how I'm going to do it and exactly what it's going to cost me. And I think that was really precious and sweet. And what I've learned is it's just the next 100 feet. That's really what you need to focus on. The next 100 feet, get there, and then you get to the next spot, the next step.
Great. Oh, yeah. Great advice. You can't get there without that first step and then being able to see. Yeah, I like that. Going, as far as Sunlink Power and just the solar industry and putting your crystal ball on, and where you want to take Sunlink Power, and as you see solar, going into the world, into the market. What are some of the things that you're seeing in your crystal ball?
If there's anything I've learned about my beautiful industry is that you can always expect the unexpected, right? There's been so many policy changes that we thought would never happen, that would never get approved, that would never come, and they do. And when these changes, these decisions by legislation are made, or by local utilities, or local governments, it can really just change things like that. And we recently experienced that, and we saw some of that in our industry, over 2022. And we're still dealing with some of the hardships and heartburn from that. And so I stopped trying to super figure it out. And here's what I know. Anything can change quickly in our industry. We're very dependent on government subsidies, very dependent on legislative decisions and trade policy. And those things are uncertain and they change fast. And so you got to be ready. You got to be ready to adapt quickly and, have a little surprise to pull out of your hat. Have something that a wild card that you can fall back on. I think I think there's another wave of some challenges coming our way. Again, legislation's about to make some big trade and decisions, and it will impact us as a whole. So just stay lean, be watching, gather as much data as you can. But just know that things change fast, and the way that they can turn really quickly in a negative way, we've seen it turn really quickly in a positive way too. So it's just riding the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows.
Perfect. It's adapt or die.
Exactly.
Let's get to the second to the last question. What's the best piece of advice? It could be personal, it could be within the business, it could be in leadership. But what best piece of advice have you received in your life?
I would say the best piece of advice that I can give, and this is something I've just learned recently. Slow is steady, and steady is fast. You do not have to be the biggest, the brightest, the best overnight. One little step at a time can carry you a very far, far long way. And I think there's something to be said about just consistent pace. I've definitely used to have a mindset of how quick can I run? How quick can I get somewhere? I would see point A and point B, and I would just immediately okay, I'm just going to go for it. And that's sweet. And there's something admirable about that zeal and excitement. But what I've learned over the years is your actions, they have consequences, right? And there's people counting on you. The more you take on as a leader and the more you do, the bigger role you have in an industry. How you handle things is important, and making sure that you're around for the long term is a very important thing. And sometimes rapid growth is not the most sustainable way to service your customers and your client base, or to love and care for yourself. And so I've learned that, how to conserve my energy. I've been, really geeking out on Stoicism. And one thing that really sticks out to me about reading books about Winston Churchill, he sat as much as he could. Anytime he had the opportunity to sit down, he sat down, because he never knew when he was going to have to really dig deep and be working for many long hours. So he conserved energy as much as possible.
We also needed to drink brandy and smoke cigars also. And the great John Wooden, probably one of the best coaches, athletic coaches of all time, said, slow down to go fast.
Right.
So that was just, sort of building on what you said. Okay, let's go to the other side. worst piece of advice that you took maybe and you implemented and you go, I wish I didn't listen to that, something of that nature. It's a weird question, but what do we need to avoid in the advice world that you've ever gotten?
So I'm going to say this, but it's maybe there's like two prongs to this. So I would say the worst advice I got, and it's again two prongs. So hear me out. Time is finite, and when you are granted an opportunity, there's just a window of time to seize that opportunity. So you have to move. That is true to an extent. I think when I received that advice, maybe I didn't fully understand that in its fullness. And so I adopted that. That was like my motto, like time's finite, window of opportunity, you got to execute quick. And that got me into a lot of not so fun situations where I'm making decisions so fast that I don't feel comfortable with. And what I found is I should have listened to my gut, but I wanted to be quick and I wanted to move and I got pressured. If we don't do this now, we're going to miss out on this opportunity. The response should have been, then that's not the opportunity for me. And I should feel good about that. I should feel confident and proud of myself. But that wasn't the response I was giving. Okay, let's do it. All right, let's go. And a lot of failure came from that, a lot of hardship, a lot of really tough times. What's great is that you can always pick yourself up and start over. So that's all right. And then you learn. But I would say that was probably the worst good, because it's like good advice, but bad advice.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. No, the word no is a valuable tool in your tool belt.
Right. Exactly.
Keeps you focused on, the main thing's the main thing. Love that. So in terms of networking, and Elizabeth will probably have all this in the show notes anyway, but just verbally, what's a good way to network with you?
Absolutely. Social media is so great. Feel free to connect with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Find me on social. info@sunlinkpower.com is a great way to reach me as well. I don't have my company phone number memorized. Here it is. You can just give us a call, 210-504-8432. Call us if you need help sourcing equipment. We focus on, bringing the best value to our customer base. And so would love to be of service and help in any way. Excellent.
Well, we do appreciate this. I think you've got a wealth of knowledge, and you're going places. You're going great places, and you're an inspiration. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. I really appreciate that. Thank you for having me on today, and look forward to much more.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe for more episodes like this. For more information on Construction Pals Podcast and BlueTape, please visit BlueTape.com.